Hey everyone, I'm Michelle, and in today's video I'm going to teach you how to bead this lovely pendant called Florida Spring. I've got a digital tutorial and a few kits available for a necklace which incorporates this pendant, but this video is for the pendant only. So let's get started. You're going to need a pearlized abalone shell, anywhere from 1.5 inches to about 2 inches. And if it doesn't have much of a sheen like this one does, you can always add a layer of clear nail polish to the top. You're also going to need a piece of lacy stiff stuff, a piece of UltraSuede, a scissors, a beading needle and some thread, about 7 quantity of 4mm faceted rondelles, size 11 demi rounds, size 15 seed beads, and a bunch of, just random beads that you have, but make sure that you have a flower and a leaf. I have 3 different colors of seed beads that we will use for the pendant, and you're also going to need some glue so we can glue the shell to lacy stiff stuff. So let's get started. So now what we're going to do is take our abalone shell and glue it to our laces, and we'll do that by taking the gel control. And there's a flat part here on the abalone shell, so what we're going to do is we're just going to put some glue on there. What we're also going to do is just do a very, very, very little bit around the edge, but more on the inside of the shell, because when we go and bead around like we do here, it's going to be very hard for the needle to get through the glue. So we'll just do a little bit on the outside, well, on the inside there, a little bit. There we go. And we're just going to flip it over, get it right there in the middle, and then we'll give that a second to dry, and then we'll come back. And so now what we're going to do is we are going to add the demis and the 15 seed beads around the edge of our shell. So we're going to come up through here. We're going to start at the bottom. So we're going to bring your needle up through the laces, and then you're going to add I forgot to tell you, put about like 1 yard of thread on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come down very close, come back down, only because what I want to do is flip this over and tie it off. So leave a little tail big enough that you can grab the thread and make a little knot. Just like that. So now our thread is in place, and then you're going to come back up near the bottom. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to pick up a demi and a 15, and then we're going to bring that all the way down, and you're just going to go back through the demi and down through our lacy stiff stuff. So that way you've just created a 15 sitting on top of the demi. And then we're going to come up a little bit next to it, just like that. We'll pick up a demi and a 15. We'll bring that all the way down, and then we will go through the demi and through the laces. So now what I want you to do is keep continuing and doing that all around the shell. So go ahead, hit pause, and when you've gone and done that, press play, and then we'll pick up where we left off. And so now you've gone all around the shell, and you want to make sure that your thread is exiting the laces. We're going to come up through the hole in the shell, and now we're going to pick up a rondelle, a demi, and a 15. we are going to go through the demi and the rondelle, and we're going to go bring our needle back through the hole and out through the laces. And just like that. Then you're going to come up through that second hole. There it is. I'm going to pick up a rondelle, a demi, and a 15. I'm going to go back through the demi and the rondelle and back down through the hole. Then we're going to do it again. Oh, did it that time. Going to pick up a rondelle, a demi, a 15. And then our last hole. Sometimes you can peek your eye into that hole and see where the needle is and then bring it up. Rondelle, demi, and 15. And then back down through the hole. This is kind of like why I had you put on like 3 feet of thread, only because it's easier to do it this way. And then what we'll do is we'll bring our needle up to the top here. And we're going to start by adding our mix of beads. And we'll leave the flower and the leaf to later, because what we can do, like in this example, I've actually built up a little base of the miscellaneous beads, and then I just beaded the flower and the leaf on top, just so it like sticks up, and these beads are being used as a support for those. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your miscellaneous beads. You can go back, you can use your rondelles that you've already used, your demis, your 15s, and just have some fun. And I'll just give you a couple little examples here. So make sure your thread is coming out of the top. And then let's just pick up this green bead. Let's do a 15. And I'm going to go back down the green bead. And then, you know, you can put your needle anywhere. You can put it close to the shell. You can push it over here if you want. You know, just have a little fun with it. We'll come over here to this side. Maybe what I'll do is I'll pick up a rondelle, a demi, and a 15. And then we'll go through the demi and the rondelle. Maybe I'll come over here. And I think what I like is the demi. Let's do a pearl and a 15. And then we'll just go through the pearl, if I can see, the demi, and then back down. And so that's what you want to do. You should just want to create a cluster. And then once you've done that, go ahead and add your flower and your leaf. So now you've finished adding the cluster, and my cluster looks like this. And that's what mine looks like. And you want to make sure, if it isn't already, that your thread is exiting the back out of the laces. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tie it off by grabbing a little stick of lace, you know, taking your needle, grabbing a little bit of laces, make a loop, and then take your needle and stick it through that loop and pull. And then we'll do it one more time. Or you can do it a couple more times if you want. Oops. Pull. Go through the loop. And there we go. And now we're going to cut it. All right. Now here comes the tricky part, because what we need to do is we now need to cut off all this extra laces, because we're going to then trace this onto here. But we can't trace it until we trim all this off, so we need to know the shape for this. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you're looking at your laces and you're cutting it, you don't want to cut these threads, but you want to make sure that you cut as close to them as you possibly can. And it's going to be tough. I suggest you go very slow at this. Take your time. And we will start by cutting. I've gone ahead and cut away all the laces, and I got to it as close as I possibly could. I kind of didn't want to have too much lacy sticking out, but I also kind of wanted some, because we still need to sew the UltraSuede to the laces to create the backing. So it's, you know, between that, and as you can see, I went and cut as close as I possibly could. So now what we need to do is we need to trace the outside just like this. So we're going to center it on. Okay. Now you can use a variety of different pens. You can use a pencil. This will actually show up, albeit not quite. As you can see, I've already tried a marking with the white. This is a jelly roll. And you can buy this as like a 6-pack in the art department. As you can see, the jelly roll works and you can see well on the darker. Or you can go darker and actually use a felt tip marker. It's a Sharpie pen. I decided I was going to go for the jelly roll. It's okay me doing that, only because it's going to be covered up by the pendant. All right, so let's section it on there, make it look a little nice and center. I also want to leave a little bit near the top and the bottom and the sides, only because as you sew, you want to be careful, because I find that when you sew the UltraSuede to the pendant, it actually starts to shift a little bit on you. So as you're working, let's say you were to bring this to the edge, you may find that this starts moving and moving and moving, and you're left with some white pieces. Unfortunately, I don't have any samples to show you of something that did that. The thing about UltraSuede, it's got some pull. As you can see, it pulls just a little bit this way, but it doesn't pull this way very much. So you want to keep that in mind. And also, I like to do is a cut as you go, just so I know that I've got the extra UltraSuede where I need it. Let's start tracing. And when I want to trace and make sure, like I said, I have just a little bit on the outside, because I really don't want to undercut it. And like I said, you know, it can shift. So we'll just do a little bit on the outside. We'll just give it like a nice little just give it some room around the edges there. Okay. So that's what mine looks like. So now I'm just going to cut it out. I've gone ahead and cut out my piece, and I've also added a piece about 1 meter long of thread, and I want it to come out the back of my laces, because when we put the UltraSuede on it, I want the thread to come out in between the UltraSuede and the laces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the UltraSuede as close as I can to both edges, just like that. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads, and I'm going to bring those all the way down. just like that. And now what I'm going to do is come up through the UltraSuede and out the laces on the top. Be careful that you don't go through a bead. You can go in between the two demis that you put on, that's okay. And then we're just going to pull through. And now what we're going to do, because your beads and your holes are going this way, we're going to go this way to through the second bead that you just put on, just that one, and then we're going to pull it. And now what's going to happen, your bead should kind of sort of stand up. It's okay if this bead isn't, or if this isn't for now, because as we work around, the beads are going to start standing up. So now that you've got the two on, we're going to pick up one more bead. We're going to bring it all the way down. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go through the bottom of the UltraSuede and out the top of the laces. Going to pull our string, and we're going to go through the bead this way and out. And we're going to go through the last bead that we just put on, just like that. And you pull, mind your thread that it doesn't get caught on your demis. And now you can see it's starting to stand up, these two beads. And this bead, it may start to stand up. If it doesn't, don't worry, because when we come back around, and when we close it, it'll stand up just like the other ones. So that's what you're going to do all the way around. If you have cut out the UltraSuede a little bit larger, you can cut as you go. So as you see here, as we're working this way, and the UltraSuede starts coming out more, just trim it as you go. Be mindful that the UltraSuede, like I said, will move around on you, so you want to make sure that it's pretty much, you know, that there's no white parts showing. And one thing I want to mention too is in my sample here, I have the green base. And when you're going to be beading that, or we do have the gold, but when you're going to be beading this base, what you want to make sure is that you have an even number of beads, because if you have an odd number of beads, you won't be able to do this picot edging. So you're going to need an even number. So what you're going to do is once you bead and you have like maybe like a couple, you know, millimeters of space left, go ahead and count what you have. That way you'll know if you need to add an extra bead, take away a bead. But like I said, you want to make sure and double check that your count is an even count in this base row. So go ahead, do that, and I'll see you when you're done. I've gone ahead and beaded all the way around, and now I've got a little space left, but I had counted prior and I have 84 beads. So if I was to add an 85th bead, then that would be an odd count and I would not be able to do the picot edging. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close it like this, and when you close it, it'll actually bring the beads a little bit closer together. So you can see my little space right there. And what I'm going to do is your string should be coming out this bead right here. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to take the string and put it down through the very first bead that you added. And that's the one that may have twisted on its side or it stood up. So we're going to do it like this. We're going to come down just like that. And I'm going to come back up the bead, our last bead that we ended. And so now I'm just going to, you know, reinforce it with a little circle. Just like that. And as you can see, it's not much of a space, so it kind of closed it up. And if you have a little bit of short thread, and it's not going to be enough to do the picot edge, like right here, I just don't have enough thread. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to boop, 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 bring the thread back through the beads here, and then cut it and then start with a new thread. So I've gone ahead and added my new string, and what I want to do this time is I want to start from up here, because after we add the picot edge, oopsie, and we come around the back up top up here, we're going to add our final bail. So here's the example right here. So what we want to do is we want to come around, and then we're going to add our bail, and our bail is going to be our last piece, and then we're going to be done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up through, you know, just maybe this one over here. Actually, I want to kind of come up through like the middle part. So what I want to make sure is I think my bail is going to come up through these beads. So you want to kind of find the center. And I'm just going to string on. I'm going to leave a tail. And I'm not really going to do anything with the tail right now. I'm just going to hang on to it while I bead the picot edge. So you're going to come up through a bead. You're going to pick up 1, 2, 3. You're going to come down the next bead right next to it. Just like that. Now it made like a little triangle. We're going to take our needle, we're going to go up through the next bead next to the bead that our thread is exiting. Oops. We're going to pick up 1, 2, 3, and we're going down the next bead. And there you go, your little picot edge. You want to come up the next bead, pick up 3, and go down the next bead. Don't know what that was, something just fell. And there you go. So now what you're going to do is you're going to continue that going all the way around. And we've gone all the way around, and I am back to the beginning. Now I have my 2 pieces of thread here. If you want, you can just, you know, tie it off, which I think I'll do. But I'm not going to cut anything yet, only because I have this really long piece of thread that I want to use to make the bail. But I just want to just tie that off, and I'll cut the little piece off. So now we have that, and now it's time to do our bail. So as you can see on this one, I have, I just did an alternative, like the little gold 15 and some colors that just matched the beads that were in the pendant. And I have the same color for these. So I have some green, some like teal, rainbowy color, and green and gold. So now what I'm going to do is my thread should now be in the center where I want the bail to be. If you want to only have 1 bail, you can just do the 1. If you want the 2, you can have the 2. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go up through that very first base that you did and not the picot. So we'll just pick this up. And then you can make your bail as big or as small as you want. So I think we're just going to pick up a green, a gold, a teal, a gold, and I'm just going to alternate the gold and the colors. And now I've added this on. So I did 3 sets. And so our thread is coming out the 15, and it's coming out this way. So I want to go back up through that 15. just like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up through the green bead, and I'm just going to reinforce it by going through all the beads. Now, because this bail looks like it's a little over to the right, I think what I want is to do my second bail to the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, once I've gone through that circle, I'm going to go back up through that 15. And I'm going to come down like we did when we were doing the Picot. I'm going to go down the next 15 bead, just like that. And then I'm going to pick up the same amount of beads. I've gone ahead and picked up the same set of 3, and I'm going to come down the 15. And now I've made my second bail. And I'm going to go back up, reinforce. So now your thread is exiting that last bead. And now what I want to do is I just want to come down that 15. So it's a little difficult, so ooh. That's why I always have a pliers with me when I bead. And now we're going to pull it. You've now added your bail, yay! But we still have the thread to get rid of. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up through the UltraSuede and out the laces underneath my leaf, because I kind of want to have those beads hide the knot that I'm going to make. So we'll just have that, and then I'm just going to move the beads aside. I'm just going to grab up a little thing of laces. I suppose they teach you this in sewing class. And then I'm going to I just picked up the laces a little bit. I'm going to make a loop, and I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come through the loop. And I guess this is how you like tie off embroidery pieces as well. And then we'll just do it again a couple times. Just grab a little piece of the laces. Actually, let me move it over here a bit so I can see better. There we go. Grab a little piece of laces, make the loop, and pull. And what you can do now is you can add a drop of glue, and then you can go ahead and you can cut it. And there you are. Congratulations. You did it. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.